This is K. Mujakar, lecturer in commerce. In today's video, we can discuss about operational techniques of managing transaction exposure. In previous video, we discussed the hedging techniques of managing transaction exposure like forwards and futures, money market hedging, swaps and options. In today's video, we can discuss about this operational techniques like netting and offsetting, currency of invoicing, and leading and lagging. Before going to discuss these operational techniques, till now who have not yet subscribed my channel, please subscribe my channel. Due to subscription, you will get the updates and also share to your friends. Due to that, your friends also may get benefited. Okay, here the first technique is netting and offsetting. The first operational technique is netting and offsetting. Okay, we can see what is meant by this netting and offsetting. Here, a firm may have a transaction exposure. A firm may have a transaction exposure portfolio with exposures in different currencies. It means already we know that we have discussed in previous video what is meant by transaction exposure. Transaction exposure means nothing but it is a part of exposure in foreign exchange exposure. Here exposure means nothing but an risk. Exposure is nothing but an risk. Why we are occurring this type of exposure means when we are dealing or after exchanging of goods and services, the next process is settlement of the currencies. Say for example, if after importing and exporting of goods from various countries like India and US dollars, we have to make the payments. We have to make the payments. Say if we have imported the goods from United States, then we have to pay to them in terms of the US dollars, in US dollars. And the country like United States is an developed country and country like India is an developing country. In such situations, the developed country currency value will be very high when compared to these developing countries. In such situations, when we are doing payment to such type of countries, automatically there may be arises of such type of exchanging of risk. Such type of risk only we called it as exposure. We called it as exposure. Here transaction exposure means it is an exposure arises when the firm's contractual obligations or monetary assets and liabilities are exposed to unanticipated changes in exchange rate. See here again I am saying transaction exposure means nothing but it is also an exposure. It is arises. When it arises means when the firm's contractual obligations or monetary assets and liabilities are exposed to unanticipated changes in exchange rates. In exchange rates. Okay. Here a firm may have an transaction exposure portfolio. Here portfolio means nothing but the combination of securities. Here portfolio means nothing but combination of securities. Now a firm think that a firm may have a transaction exposure portfolio with exposures that also in different currencies, that also in different currencies. In such situations, okay, a firm having a transaction exposure portfolio with risk in different currencies. Okay, when exchange rate changes, when exchange rate changes, there may be a gains on some currencies and losses on others. It's a fact only. Why? Because when we are dealing with such type of currencies, in sometimes we occurs and gains and sometimes we occurs and losses. Due to that, our stock exchange market or our stock market, all these are volatile. It means temporary market and it is also an 24 into 7 market. Why? Because tomorrow price will be automatically decreased, or sometimes it may be increased, or whatever it may be happens in such situations. For example, in India, we have an appreciation. In such situations, we will get an gains, or our currency value has been depreciated. In such situations, we will get the losses. We will get the losses. It means, okay, here you can see exposure netting. Exposure netting is a portfolio approach. It means exposure netting is a portfolio approach. It means, first of all, we have to know what is meant by exposure netting. Exposure netting means nothing but it is an method of hedging currencies. So here, while dealing, no, we are occurring such type of risk. In order to minimize such type of risk, we are using this hedging techniques as well as operational techniques. Now we are discussing operational techniques. So by using such type of methods, we will use to avoid such type of risk. Here exposure netting is a one of the method in order to minimize the risk by offsetting exposure in one currency with another exposure in the same or another similar currency. Here the main objective of exposure netting is nothing but to reducing a company's risk to exchange rate risk. Okay, in order to understand this exposure netting portfolio approach, we can see an following example also. Due to that you will may understood still some more. Due to that you will understand still some more. Okay, according to which a firm manages its trade transactions in such a way that exposures in one currency will offset by exposure in same and other currency. Okay, think that a firm is managing its trade transactions. Okay, after managing its trade transactions in such a way, for example, there will be a low level of trade between the countries, there will be a lower level of risk. When there is an higher traded transactions, in such cases there will be a higher risk. In such a way, based on the trade transactions, the risk will be that. Okay, when there is an more trade transactions, more risk will happen. In such a way, when a firm may manage its trade transactions in such a way that exposures in one currency will offset by exposures in the same or other currencies. Sometimes it may be happens in same currencies, or sometimes it may happens in other currencies, whatever it may be. The risk may be happens in the same currency, as well as the risk may be happens in also and other currencies also, whatever it may be. Okay, now we can discuss one following example in order to understand more clearly. For example, suppose that firm has a receivables of 1 million US dollars. Think that our India has been receiving, or any country, they have been receiving 1 million US dollars. At the same time, they also have a payables of 1 million US dollars. See that receivables also 1 million, payables also 1 million. There is any balance, there is any profits to them? No. There is no losses as well as there is no profit in such situations. So a firm has been receiving of 1 million US dollars, at the same time payables of 1 million US dollars. So the US dollars receivables the US dollars receivables cancel out the USD payables. Here USD means US dollars, leaving no net exposure. There is no any net exposure. It means, for example, if there is an more gains, means beyond the in such expenses we will get the gains. Here what it happens, there is no any profits or no gain. So here there is an equalize. So the US dollars receivables cancel out the USD payables, leaving no net exposure. Leaving no net exposure in such situations. Okay, we have now what we have discussed now. In case of same or other currencies, we have to like only one US dollars only, receivables or payables also both in terms of US dollars only we have taken. Now other case we can take, say in case both the amounts are different, it may be US dollars and euros. or JPY and GBP means Great Britain pounds and Japanese yens. In such situations, in case both the amounts are different, the firm can use the receivables to settle the payables and hedge the residual or net amount of receivables or payables. Say for example, we know that each country's currency varies from other currencies. Say for example, I'm just assuming our country value is very high. Our country currency value is very high. We are assuming. Think that opposite currency value is very low. In such situations, what we can do, if we got the 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs value, 50 lakhs worth, the opposite payables is only 25 lakhs, then what it may happen, there may be occurring some type of gains. Why? Because our receivables is very high when compared to the payables. In such situations, automatically we can settle that payables. Why? Because our currency value is very high. And after settling, see here, they're using amounts are different, they are using to settle the payables and minimize the residual or net amount of receivables or payables. Here residual means nothing but the estimated value. Okay. Now a firm can hedge the residual exposure. It means exposure remaining after netting items. What is meant by residual exposure? Here we can see. Here residual exposure means nothing but it is one of the residual risk. It means it is the amount of risk or danger associated with an action or event. It means it is automatically the residual risk it is one of the amount of risk, or we can think that it is any one of the danger it has been associated to it. It has been associated with action or event remaining after the natural or inherent risk have been reduced by risk control. It has been remaining after the natural or inherent risk. It means exposure remaining after netting items. That is meant by residual risk exposure. Okay, here a firm, what they are doing here, in another situation, a firm can hedge the residual exposure remaining after netting, rather than the hedging each currency exposure separately when it has a portfolio of currency exposure. See what they are doing. A firm can hedge the residual exposure rather than hedging each currency exposure separately when it has a portfolio of currency exposure. See that another advantage here. Due to that residual exposure, what they are doing, total amount of actions occurring after netting, exposure remaining after netting. Due to that hedging of each currency exposure, in order to, for example, I'll give one example to you. See, there are 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5 cases. If we have to minimize this, we have to hedge this, these are the lot of process and very late process. In such situations, in order to do that separately, there is a lot of risk. In order to avoid that, if we choose the residual exposure, means rather than the hedging of each currency exposure separately, when we can do this type of situations, means when it has a portfolio of currency exposures. Now itself I have said portfolio means nothing but the combination of securities. Here residual exposure, why we are choosing, means in order to do the each one separately, we are choosing all. All this, when it happens, means when we can choose this residual exposure, means also when we have an portfolio of currency exposure, means only then we can use the residual exposure. Due to that, we can minimize or we can hedge the each currency exposure separately. This is the one of the advantage of this residual exposure. Due to doing the separately, we are using all. When means it has an portfolio of currency exposure. Okay, next one. A long position in one currency, say US dollars, can be offset by a short position in the same currency. In the same currency. What is saying? A long position has been there. One party has been chosen the long position in one currency, in which means say in terms of US dollars can be offsetting. Here offset means term is nothing but the consideration. So can be offset by a short position in the same currency. Okay, here what they are doing, they have chosen the same currency, that is US dollars, and what they have done, they have one party has been chosen the long position in order to consideration by a short position in the same currency. Okay, if two currencies are positively correlated, a firm can offset a long position in one currency with a short position in the other currency also, it means. See here, another I am saying, if two currencies are positively correlated. What is meant by correlated means nothing but the mutual relationship between that. If two currencies are positively correlated, what they can do, a firm can offset a long position in one currency with a short position in other currency also. Thus a gain or loss on the receivables due to appreciation or depreciation. Now itself I have said to you, appreciation means automatically we will get the gains, depreciation means automatically we will get the losses. Whatever it may be happens, thus a gain or loss on the receivables due to appreciation depreciation of a currency will be matched by a loss or gains on the payables. It may be receivables. In case of receivables, if there is an appreciation, we will get the losses or gains. When in case of depreciation or appreciation, same in situations of payables also, when there is an depreciation or appreciation, same there will be happening of gains or losses. This in fact provides a natural hedge. However, if two currencies are negatively correlated, see here, if there is an positively correlated means in case of receivables we are using the long position and short position, and there may be a profits or losses. In case of payables, there may be a profits or losses due to appreciation or depreciation. Think that in another cases. Now itself we have discussed about the positive correlated values. Now we can discuss about the if two currencies are negatively correlated. If two currencies are negatively correlated, it means there is a no mutual relationship between such currencies. Then a long or short position in one currency can be offset by long or short position in the other currency. A firm can have more stable cash flows if it has a currency diversification, which can limit the potential impact and changes in any single currency on the cash flows of the firm. If there is a positively correlated, then no to worry. In case of there is a negatively correlated, then long or short position in one currency can be offset by a long or short position in other currency. Here a firm can have a more stable cash flows if it has a currency diversification, isn't it? When there is an a firm can have, when there will be a more stable cash flows to the firm means when it has a more currency diversification. What it will do, which can limit the potential impact of changes in any single currency on the cash flows of the firm. Okay, think that if we have an more currency, there is no any problem. Why? Because with such currency we can, what are the changes which we are occurring or what are the risk which we are occurring, automatically we can reduce here. That is the main advantage. If there is a no proper stable cash flows, then what it will happen, if there is an any impact of on such situations when dealing with different types of exposures, then automatically we will get the losses. So when the firm has a more stable cash flows means when it has an currency diversification, due to that more currency diversification, it will limit the potential impact of changes in single currency on the cash flows of the firm. This is the netting and offsetting. Here nothing but there may be we can settle through same currencies or different currencies. When there is an receivables or payables equal, then automatically there will be no any net exposure. When there is an different currencies, when there is an with the use of when there is a different currencies, with the use of receivables we can settle the payables also. Other thing here, when there is a residual exposure means due to that residual exposure, we are in order to hedge separately, we can do it all in one way. When we can do means when it has a portfolio of currency exposure. Another thing, when there is an positively correlated between the currencies, then a counterpart is they may choose the long position or short position. Or in such situations when there is an appreciation or depreciation in case of receivables, there may be gains or losses. As well as in case of payables, when there is an when there is an appreciation or depreciation, there may also occurs an losses or gains. Another thing, when there is a negatively correlated means also it will also happen. That till now we have discussed. Another thing, if we have a more stable cash flows means automatically we can avoid the risk which were happening in our company. Next type of risk is currency of invoicing. Next type of operational techniques, my dear student friends, is currency of invoicing. Here importers and exporters can also shift foreign currency risk by getting their exports and imports invoiced in their own currency teams. Why, we can see here what they are doing. They are shifting the foreign exchange risk by getting their exports or imports invoiced in their own currency. Think that in our own currency is Indian rupees or whatever it may be, or our currency, thinking that US dollars or euros or Japanese yens or Great Britain pounds or whatever it may be currency. It's such, for example, in case of exports or imports, there is an risk involved in our own currency, isn't it? In think that there is an exposure in our own currency. In such situations, what we are doing with this currency of invoicing means just we are shifting the foreign exchange risk. Just we are shifting the foreign exchange risk. How means by getting their exports or imports. How, we can discuss this in elaborately. This method of hedging does not eliminate the foreign exchange exposure. Means in previous what we have discussed in previous technique, netting or offsetting, just we are using, just we are avoiding or hedging the risk. Here in currency of invoicing means here what they will do means this is the method of hedging does not eliminate the foreign exchange exposure. Here does not eliminate the foreign exchange risk but just shift it one party to another party. Just they are shifting their risk from one party to another. Okay, this is the part of the currency of invoicing. Currency of invoicing, in one word we can say that just in order to avoid the risk, it doesn't eliminate any foreign exchange risk but just it shifts the risk from one party to another party by using the imports and exports. For example, if a firm invoices its imports in its domestic currency, see here, a firm it invoices its imports in domestic currency, it need not face foreign exchange risk on its payables, isn't it? Are you understanding my concept? If a firm has been invoices its imports in its domestic country, it need not to face foreign exchange exposure on its payables. But the counterparty, it means that is the exporter. We are the importers, the counterpart is the exporters. But the counterparty, that is exporter will face the foreign exchange risk. Here, that is the main concept. Just we are not eliminating the risk, just we are transferring the risk to the other party. Similarly, a firm can shift its entire exchange risk to the importer by invoicing its exports in its domestic currency, nothing but vice versa. Thus, if the importing firm can get the payables invoiced in its own home currency, the exporter will face the exchange exposure. If the exporting firm can invoice its exports in home currency, then the importer will face the foreign exchange risk. It may be happens to exporter or it may be happens to imports. It may be such type of risk has been happens to in when it has been invoiced in its own currency or domestic currency or other currency. It may happens in both receivables also, payables also. Think that we what as an importer, what I am thinking, I have to shift the risk to the other party. Think that in counterparty point of view also, what that person also will think, he also want to shift the shift his risk to the importer in order to what they are doing, they are not eliminating the risk, just they are shifting the risk here. They are shifting the risk here. Why? Because we know that already it is a non-volatile or more volatile, or it is an more volatile market. It is an more volatile market. If a currency is more volatile, then invoicing such currency is avoided. Okay, it is also a common practice for both the parties, the exporters and importers, to agree to use of currency other than respective currencies to invoice. If you have any doubts, my dear students, you can comment in my YouTube channel. I will clear your queries. Okay, I'll explain still more broadly this currency of invoicing in the following examples also. Following examples also. Since thus if the importing current firm can get the payables invoiced in home currency, the exporter will face the exchange exposure, and if the exporting firm can invoice its exports in home currency, the importer will face the foreign exchange risk. Exporters are often invoiced in the exporter's currency since the amounts of received are paid sometime after the invoice is made. The expected exchange rate is significant consideration. If a currency is more volatile, then invoicing in such a currency is avoided. Till now we have discussed. Okay, in order to understand clearly, I am taking the two countries examples and its currencies. Think that, for example, an Indian exporter and a Japanese importer may agree to use the US dollars as the invoice currency. See here, an Indian exporter and a Japanese importer may agree to use the US dollar as a invoice currency. Further, in the case of some currencies, there may not be a regular market for currency derivatives, isn't it? There may be a, for all currencies there won't be a same options. There may be a some type of risk. In case of some currencies, there may be not a regular market for currency derivatives like options and futures. Till now we have discussed, and previous video I have said option contract means this also one of the derivative contract. In order to hedge the risk, here there may be a two parties. Like here in options means there will be mainly two sub. What there means? Call options and put options. According to the risk, he can choose either maybe call option or put option in order to avoid such risk. Next one is futures. Also we have discussed. It is a standardized contract. They follow the rules and regulations of the stock exchanges. Therefore, traders may use a third currency which is less volatile in value or whose country of origin has a developed country of developed derivative market. Okay. Now I'll clear you why they are choosing. For you there may be one doubt. Indian, for Indian exporter, the our Indian currency is Indian rupees and Japanese currency is yens. But they have chosen the other currency. Why? Means here, for example, an Indian exporter and a Japanese importer may agree to use the what they are agreeing in the agreement. They agree to use the US dollars. Why? As a invoice currency. Next, further, in the case of some currencies, what they are saying, in some currencies there may not be a regular market for currency derivatives, in which derivatives means like options as well as in futures. Therefore traders may use the, why? Because for all currencies there won't be a regular market. So in such situations, in order to avoid, they are using the third currency, that is an US dollars. Why? Because these US dollars may have a regular market. There may be a regular market. So this traders using this type of third currency. Why? Because it has an less volatile in value, or whose country of origin has a developed currency in a derivative market. We know that United States is a developed country where its currency value is very high when compared to like developing countries like India. So in such situations we are using like this currencies like United States in order to avoid such type of risk. Okay, now you have understand. I have taken the both countries and the its currencies. Sometimes exporters and importers agree to share the foreign exchange exposure by getting the part of the trade invoice in, say, the importer's home currency and the rest of the trade invoiced in the exporter's home currency. Such invoicing is known as mixed currency invoicing. See here, exporters and importers, what they are agreeing to share the foreign exchange risk as by getting a part of the trade, means they have involving just as a part. Say for example, 50% of risk to the importer, 50% of risk to the exporter according to the agreement. 60% of risk to the importer, 40% of the exporter. Just they are taking the not entire risk, they are justing the getting the part of trade invoiced in, say, importer's home currency and the rest of trade invoiced in the exporter's home currency. Such invoicing, with this invoicing, what we called as an mixed currency invoicing. What we called it as mixed currency invoicing. In first example what we have discussed, more currencies they won't have a regular market. So in order to avoid such risk, they are using the third party currencies which have a regular market. The another case is nothing but the importers and exporters, according to the agreement, what they are doing means they are just sharing their foreign exchange risk by the part of the trade. Like now itself I have said 50% to him, 50% to the other counterparty. Such type of risk is known as mixed currency invoicing. Mixed currency invoicing. Trade transactions may also be invoiced in one standard currency baskets such as euros or special drawing rates. Special drawing rates. Here you may have doubt what is meant by special drawing rates. In previous videos, go to my channel and watch it. I have explained very well in about deeply regarding the special drawing rates. However, the term special drawing rates has been came here. I'll explain what is what here in brief. Here nothing but special drawing rates is an interest bearing international reserve asset created by the International Monetary Fund in 1969 to supplement reserve assets of member countries to the member countries. Why? Because they are using special drawing rate means I will say to you, it is pegged with the basket of currencies like US dollars. Here SDRs means nothing but it is nothing but the paper gold. The currencies which are in special drawing rates are very high value or the currencies of the such countries are very developed countries. See here the basket of currencies like US dollars, euros, Chinese, Japanese yens, pound, sterling. Pound sterling means nothing but the Great Britain currencies. All these currencies are called as an basket of currencies. Basket of currencies we are saying. Here what they are doing, trade transactions may also invoiced in one standard currency baskets. It may be euros is also a part of the special drawing rates only. It is also a part of the basket of currencies only. Now itself I have said to you. US dollars, euros, yens, uh, Chinese currency as well as Great Britain pounds also. Whatever it may be. So he is saying trade transactions may also involved in one standard currency basket such as euros or special drawing rates, and there may be foreign exchange exposure is reduced. We know that. Now itself a previous example what they have done, in order to avoid they have used the currency of others. Here also when there is a trade transaction there may be a using of standard currency baskets, means this type of currencies like special drawing rates. Why means in order to reduce the foreign exchange exposure. My dear students, listen here, whatever we are using like special drawing rates or the high value of currencies, whatever main objective is in order to reduce its exposure. In order to reduce its exposure. Here trade transactions may also expressed in terms of the composite currency unit. I will explain you what is meant by composite currency units. Means it is nothing but the European currency units or the special drawing rates or another composite unit. It is consisting of the aggregate of specified amounts of specified currencies as such as European currencies or special drawing rights or other unit may be constituted from time to time. This is meant by composite currency units. Composite currency units. Okay. Now I will tell you still clearly. Here sometimes now we have here sometimes we are in this part what we are doing means just we are sharing the risk in part to part. In other this we called as mixed currency invoicing. In other case we are using the standard basket of currencies in order to reduce the risk. In another case trade transactions may also expressed in terms of a composite currency unit made of different currencies. It means there may be not only involved of one currency, there may be involved of different countries currencies, such as what we called as an private currency basket. It is not involved in one currency, there will be a different basket of currencies. This we can call it as an cocktails. Why we are choosing this type of means in order to design to avoid the violent fluctuations. We know that our stock market is a temporary market. In order to avoid such type of fluctuations in the individual exchange rate, we are using such type of cocktails. That is in terms of composite currency units. Next case we can discuss here. A firm may wish to have its imports or exports invoiced in the currency in which required to pay for its imports. Say here a firm may wish to have its exports invoiced in currency in which it required to pay for its imports. See here we can example. An Indian firm may like to invoice its exports to the United Kingdoms in Great Britain pounds. Why? Because so that it can use the Great Britain pounds receivables to pay off its future payables. What they are doing? An Indian firm, in order to invoice its exposures to its exports to the United Kingdoms in Great Britain pounds, what they are using? It can use the Great Britain pounds receivables to settle their future payables in Great Britain pounds. But it may be difficult to match the foreign currency inflows with outflows in terms of amount and time. Why? Because what they are doing means they are using the Great Britain pounds in receivables and also in order to settle their Payables. A firm may not able to invoice the amount of its exporters to match the amount of payables it has in the same currency, and it may also not able to match its foreign currency inflows with the time of its foreign currency outflows. In such an eventuality, the firm will have some degree of foreign exchange exposure, which can be hedged by the other methods. The important factors that governing invoicing or historical relationship between the trading partners and the relative bargaining powers of partners. So now itself I have discussed. Now you can understand why we are using the other parties currencies means. Why? Because there may be a more easy to settle to the other party contracts. See that when we are using the same Great Britain pounds in order to set off or pay off its payables, there may be a certain type of risk is involved. Certain type of risk is involved. Next, final final operational technique is leading and lagging strategy. We can see what is meant by leading and lagging strategy. Here, transaction exposure can also be managed by shifting the time of receipt or payment of foreign currency in accordance with the expectations of future exchange rate movements. Here, in previous case, what we have seen, in order to eliminate the risk, they are just shifting to the other party. It may be importers to or to the exporters. Here in this case, what they are doing means, at the time of how it can manage means by shifting the timing of receipt or payment of foreign currency in accordance with the expectations of the future exchange rate movements. When there is an shifting, how they can manage means at the shifting the timing of receipt or payment of foreign currency in accordance with the expectations of future exchange rate movements. How we can see, a firm may lag the receivables and lead the payables in hard currencies. In case of hard currencies, it may also lead the receivables and lag the payables. In any case, there are two cases. A firm can lag the receivables and also lead the payables in hard currencies. In case of weak currencies, what they do means they lead the receivables and lag the payables denominated in weak currencies. When there is an hard currencies, automatically they are lagging their receivables and they lead the payables. By doing such type of two options, like two cases, they can avoid the loss from the depreciation of the soft currency. Say that our Indian currency's value is very low when compared to the developed countries. In order to avoid such type of currencies, what they are doing means they are following this strategy, that is that leading and lagging. Why? Because when there is a depreciation of our currency, we know that automatically we will get the losses. For example, suppose that an Indian firm has a 3-month payables denominated in US dollars, as the US dollars is a strong currency and is expected to appreciate against the Indian rupee. Any delay in the settlement of the US dollar payable will put the additional burden on the Indian firm. Therefore, the firm may settle the payment immediately and avail the cash discount if any. Now, here I have sent one example to you. Now, match this here. Here what they are doing, a firm may lag the receivables and lead the payables in case of hard currency. Say, our US dollars currency value is very high. Okay, I'll give still a best example in order to clear. Think that I have imported the goods from United States. After importing, what I have to do? I have to settle the payments to them. I have taken an agreement. Think that I have taken a agreement like 6 months or 9 months or 12 months or whatever it may be, according to the trading transactions, according to the bulk of the goods and services, or according to the particular period of such company. Okay, we know that our stock market is temporary, we don't know when the currency will appreciate or when will depreciate. If it depreciate means automatically our Indian gains some more when compared to other. when compared to other. When there is an appreciation to the US dollars, see here, our Indian currency appreciate means we will get the gains. Our Indian currency depreciate means we will get the losses. As well as US dollars appreciate means automatically we will get the losses. We will get the losses. So in such situations, what they do means, for example, after 6 months, now for example, we are in the December month. We are in the December month. We have taken to settlement in March. Next, automatically to settle in March, automatically it leads to their currency will be appreciable. Automatically we will get the losses. See, for example, now there is an 72 rupees. It may be happen in March 80 rupees also, we doesn't know. There will be a more burden of still 8 rupees. More 8 rupees. Isn't it? There will be a more burden to this to them. Why? Because there may be a crores of transactions. In such situation, there may be an additional burden to the other firm. So what they are doing means they will, in such situations, they will be settled first. There will be a settled first. Why? Because they are not waiting till March to settle them. Why? Because in such cases their US dollars may appreciate means automatically we will get the losses. So what they will do means they will settle in that month itself, or they will be settled immediately and avail the cash discount. Another thing we know that generally in accounting, if we settle soon, automatically we will get the discounts. Automatically we will get the discounts. Yes or no? So due to that settling, automatically if we are getting the cash discount, it is also a benefit to them. Conversely, if the firms has receivables in a weak currencies, like Hungarian example, Hungary's currency the forefront, it may lead the receivables as weak currencies are expected to depreciate. Any delay in settlement of receivables will reduce the amount of receivables in terms of home currency. Okay. Now I have explained in one way. US dollars appreciate means automatically it will have risk to you. For example, in case of weak currencies, this case lead the receivables and lag the payables denominated in weak currency. For example, the other country think that the other country like Hungary, what they have do means we have exported the goods to the we have exported to goods to such country. After what they will do after receiving their goods, what they will do, uh, they have to make a settlement. Or if firm has a receivables in a weak currency, then automatically what it happens, there is when weak currencies means when we are receiving that, automatically we will get the losses, isn't it? We are thinking, we know that automatically we are always in a speculation mode. Every business activity who are dealing in national wide or global wide, always there is an least to the speculation. We know that the four types of speculators: bull, bear, lame duck and stag. Almost all every firm what they will think, there needs to always their profits should be very high, nothing but the bull market. Any firm which is not interested in order to get the losses. So what they will do means there may be a delay in settlement of receivables, will reduce the amount of receivables in terms of home currency. So a firm has a certain debt obligations in weak currency, it may lag the payment. Conversely, if the debt obligation is in a strong currency, the firm may advance the payment. Neglecting to do so may lead to increase the debt burden, isn't it? For example, if we do neglect means automatically what it will happens, there may be a losses, there will be increasing of more debt burden with the appreciation of the strong currency, which is likely event. It means I'll tell you another example in another way. For example, there is currencies think that other countries currency is very weak. In order to before overcoming the strong currency, if we settle down soon means what it will happen, it will give a gain to the Indian country. It will be the gain to the Indian country. We doesn't know when country's currency will increase or decrease, isn't it? In such situations, before settling, think that US currency is very weak and we have received the goods from them. If we settle down soon means automatically we will get the benefits like this. Here, borrowing or lending in hard currencies carries the lower rates of interest as compared to the weak currencies. Further, they may avail the cash discounts. In one word, I'll explain here. See here, borrowing or lending in hard currencies, what it happens carries low rates of interest as compared to the weak currencies. Further, they may avail also a cash discount if it leads to the payables. On the advance settlement of receivables, the firm offer cash discounts to its customers. Therefore, any gain arising leading or lagging needs to be considered along with the interest rate differential and other costs associated with the leading or lagging. These are the various techniques like leading or lagging strategy as well as offsetting and netting and currency of invoicing. Thanks for watching.